Hi, I'm Deli Dutton, and today I'm drawing some swords. One of the art challenges for September is Swordtember. I'm doing the first 6 prompts from Tim Kaminsky's Swordtember prompt list. I'll put a link down in the description. So for prompts, we have Gothic, Skeleton, Potion, Crystal, Dragon, and Emotion. For Gothic, I thought stained glass and gargoyles. I really like the idea of a stained glass sword, although something like that wouldn't be overly sturdy unless it was magical. A good hit to the blade at the wrong angle could shatter it. But I think the aesthetics of it being swung around in the sunlight, the colorful patches of light scattering across the battlefield, it would be very pretty. I think the gargoyles on the hilt could serve 2 purposes. Since gargoyles are used as gutters to direct water, maybe they could be activated to do a jet of water that could push back an attacker. Or if they're less magical, maybe they still serve their gutter purposes, but in a more goth fashion, redirecting blood away from the blade and the wielder's hands. I think this sword is pretty heavy and requires a great deal of control to avoid shattering it, so it's got to be a 2-handed weapon. Perhaps the owner of the sword is a holy warrior, the type who does their best to avoid fighting at all costs, who gets laughed at for carting around a useless glass weapon, and just smiles and agrees that it is foolish. But when peaceful resolutions can't be made, and they are forced to fight, they show that they have a vast amount of skill and control, showing hints of a darker past that they prefer to leave behind them. With the skeleton prompt, I thought it would be funny if it was just a sharpened shard of bone, like it was broke and an animal had chewed on it until it was sharp, like a candy cane. But if it was just a sharp bit of bone, it would seem more like a club than a sword, so I gave it a crossguard, by sticking the bone through the eye socket and mouth of a skull. There are probably bits of wire keeping it from flinging around and to keep the jaw from just falling off. Either that or it's super cursed. This sword would be mostly used to stab or to bash. It wouldn't be useful to slash at someone expecting them to get cut. It's also not the most socially acceptable sword to carry around, so either like a hermit out in the wilderness who just cobbled it together, or a necromancer who wanted a sword that they could animate and make attack someone on its own. Or, as I said, it's super cursed and someone touched it and they can't get rid of it now. The potion sword is a weird one. I thought about doing a sword where there's a potion bottle attached that adds special effects to the blade when used. But what if there was a potion where its only effect was that when it was opened, it became a sword? The potion would come out and become just solid enough to cut, and as the potion starts to lose its effectiveness, perhaps in like an hour or so, it would slowly become liquid again and splatter harmlessly on the floor. It could be useful in situations where a warrior has to hide a weapon. Like if they were going to a ball or to meet someone important. The potion could perhaps have a different label slapped on it to make it look like a healing potion. Or it could be put into an opaque flask and passed off as alcohol or something. Then, if fighting breaks out, just unstopper the sword potion and ta-da! Instant sword. And hopefully you're out of danger before the sword becomes goop again. For crystal, I thought it would be pretty to just do a cluster of crystals, with the smaller crystals forming the hilt and the crossguard. I think this is another heavy sword since it's made of stone, but it has another use. If someone attacks the wielder of this sword with magic, it has a high chance of being reflected off the sword and back at the caster. For the dragon prompt, I wanted the sword to be made out of dragon parts. So the blade itself is a dragon's tooth, with the inside of it sharpened so that it has a cutting edge. I thought I should make at least one of these a curved blade, since the rest of them are straight. It's decorated with scales, and the pommel has a dragon's eye in it. The hilt itself is a normal hilt, and the tooth has been bound to it. Whoever carries this sword would be hailed as a dragon slayer, and definitely would not be one to mess with. The blade is very resistant to fire, making it a decent blade to coat in oil and set on fire. The last sword prompt in this set is emotions. My first thought was like emoticons and emo and the early 2000s. We'd go to the mall and get stickers and keychains from the dollar store or Hot Topic that were mostly sarcastic phrases about how we were insane or how everything sucked, and that was fine. Like Happy Bunny and stuff like that. Ah, teenagers. I also really like the idea of a sword having a bunch of keychain charms, perhaps each with a different magical effect, or perhaps just for funsies. I think this kind of sword would be used by a team in a zombie apocalypse, and they'd be fighting with their friends to protect the mall from the Walking Dead. There would be outdated slang, and everyone would eat gushers and drink sobe lizard juice. These swords were fun to draw. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to continue on this art journey with me. Bye!